When I'm thinking about all these things and my mind won't stop, will articulating them out loud help me realize maybe it's overthink or it's ridiculous or it's not
Mhm.
ridiculous and there's things that I need to solve?
A lot of men have a preconceived notion we aren't funny, and when you're never going to make them. You're never going to be able to make those kinds of people laugh, no matter how hard you try.
When we lived in the suburbs and I was overwhelmed by work or something, a task I had to do, I literally would bake something and then I'd feel more in control of the day. Hey, hi, Julie.
Hello.
How you doing today?
I'm tired.
Yeah, you were up early.
I know. I couldn't. It leads right into what we want to talk
I
about tonight because I
know it
couldn't sleep
does.
last night.
Oh, that is just the worst. It's the
Yeah.
worst. Well, here we are, and we're going to try and help you through the things. This is going to be like a therapy session.
Oh
Although
God.
15 minutes before we're going to record, I decide now is the time for me to learn a TikTok dance, the Texas Hold'em. I'm sweating. I can't stop sweating, and trying to learn to
What's
dance. You don't know the
is
Texas
it?
Hold'em? It's the
Is it?
Beyonce song. It's all over my
But is
For You
it?
page.
I know. But is it the Miley Cyrus hoedown throwdown dance to the
It's a hoedown
song?
throwdown. Yeah, I'm doing the hoedown dance, like slapping the knee and the whole knee. I don't know.
Okay.
It's the one that I saw that was like learn the hoedown dance. So I decided to watch a creator and learn it. And I literally think I had my workout. I'm sweating. I did have my workout, and it is literal. I hate using the word literally wrongly, but that was an appropriate use. So sweating, and of course you're right on time. And now I'm trying to set up my get up here and get myself
I'm
in
always
order.
on time.
I know it's so annoying.
I wonder where I get her from.
Oh,
I have a weird itch to always be on
oh
time
my.
for things.
Okay. Tell me why you couldn't sleep last night or early this morning when you were texting me at whatever time it was, 6 a.m. I think your time.
Yeah.
Do tell.
Well, my mind was kind of racing last night because I did like this open mic audition spot
Hmm.
at the Comedy Store, and I had a lot of anxiety about it,
Mm.
and it went fine, but like my anxiety really took over. I'm also PMSing, which I think also makes me more anxious.
Right. Right.
And then I woke up at like 6 this morning and I was like sweating. I couldn't get like comfortable last night either. I just
Yeah.
felt like I was tossing and turning. And then at like 6:30, our oven started beeping and it wouldn't
Okay.
stop beeping. So then I had to get up and I like turned the breaker off and I had to wait and then turn it back on and make sure it wasn't beeping. And at that point, I was up.
You were up. Yeah. Well, that would get me up. I'd be up for the day if I had to do some kind of task like that.
Yeah. So we're up, but we'll probably take a little afternoon nap to
Hmm.
compensate.
What keeps you awake when they're feeling those things? Is it just your mind going, 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 or is it just, does it, what happens?
It just, it's like hard to explain because it's not even like a continuous
Hmm.
monologue in my head. It's just like
Oh,
it's almost like like talking over myself in my head. Like it's
it's like an
and
overlapping voiceover,
yeah.
like the
But then
tutorial. I just thought that was a funny thing that you said.
but it also happens sometimes because like I've been back on taking like Adderall very regularly for my ADHD. So at night, by the time it wears off,
Right.
sometimes all the thoughts come in because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
the medicine is worn off by that point. So then everything's just spiraling and spitting. And I don't know, it's just like I always used to say this, like it's like I couldn't shut my brain off. It's not like I'm
Right.
thinking about like a specific thing and I'm like ruminating on how the set didn't go well. It's like I'm ruminating and then I'm thinking about this and then I'm thinking about that and then it's that and that. It like feels like my mind's in like overdrive. And like even when I try and do like breathing, I get distracted.
Right, right. Wow.
So yeah. It's
Oh
just
my
I should have
gosh.
what I usually do when that happens is I like get up and I go sleep on the couch because like sometimes changing a
Yeah, the
location
location. That's the smart
helps.
thing.
But I was just like like I was
You didn't want to
comfy.
move. Yeah, you didn't want to move. But it's funny that I was thinking, because of course, when you said to me, my mind was spinning, my thought was maybe you should audio record your thoughts out loud, like go in another room and play out your
Hmm.
thoughts out loud. And I don't know if I've never even thought to do this until I just told you it. And now I'm thinking the next time it happens to me, I'm going to try that. When
Mm.
I'm thinking about all these things and my mind won't stop, will articulating them out loud help me realize maybe it's overthink or it's ridiculous or it's not ridiculous and there's things that I need to solve because
Yeah.
I've never really thought to do it. I wonder if anybody has ever done something like that. I know journaling is a way to do it. I don't like writing with like, pen and paper. And I don't even like want to type it really. And I was going to say I don't even like typing, but I do like typing, but I just don't want to use writing for my thoughts. I'd rather speak them to
Yeah.
see if it seems more uh, listening to it might give me more insight into why I was spinning like that. I think a lot of it has to do with the way our brains work because we do go from one thing to the next pretty quickly. I was having a text chat with Grace this morning, and we were doing an audio chat, and I said something to her. And then as I'm talking about it, I said in the thing, I should make a LinkedIn post about this. I should make a post about this because it's so insightful. And she was typing the same thing to me. You should make a post about this. So we had this idea at the same time. But what's funny is I took a shower, came out of the shower, I'm finishing the chat and I said I can't remember what I was going to write the post about. Like, how did I forget it within 10 minutes of taking a shower? I couldn't remember. I really had to hurt. She had to play it back for me. And I'm like, that is just that the function of our brains. We're going from one thing to the next so quickly that we can't stop it. Does yours go from one to the
Yeah.
next? What do you think?
Yeah. It's so hard. It definitely goes from one thing to the next, and I think being back on my medicine has helped
Yeah.
because I was talking about the other day. I was like, I definitely feel less anxious when I take it because like it feels like my mind is more in control of things. So a little benefit
Right, right. Well,
taking your meds.
you're very thoughtful and facing the thoughts versus I've spent my life finding coping mechanisms, I think, that I haven't really figured out until now that I have these issues. Do you know what I realized too? I think my first grade problem from our last episode might have been anxiety as a first grader.
Mm,
And I didn't really think of that until I was thinking about this episode and I was thinking, I was a very anxious youngster, really, but nobody dealt with anxiety. Nobody listened to those concerns.
hmm
It's just like that TikTok I was telling you about last week about the lady who said, our parents, they didn't even care about what we were thinking. They just wanted to get us off and get us going onto what we were doing. So I think you're a step ahead of the game because you've acknowledged that you have anxiety and that you're figuring out how to work through it instead of working around it. Because that's what I did the
hmm
whole time. It was work around. How am I working around? But that's why my instinct for you sometimes is to help you with a workaround,
Yeah.
which
And
maybe isn't the
what I've
best.
two things I've learned about like my anxiety is one, a lot of it stems from the ADHD and like it's not that I it stems from the ADHD where I feel like I don't necessarily like the ADHD is the bigger problem and it's causing the anxiety because I'm so like on one to the next. I keep forgetting my thoughts. And the second thing that I think contributes to my anxiety is like my stomach problems because
Hmm.
a lot of your anxiety stems from your gut,
Hmm.
and my gut hasn't really been like working for the past year properly. So I think a lot of my anxiety isn't actually anxiety. It's just like I'm having a stomach ache, but it feels like anxiety because I'm
Yes.
having a stomach ache. So it's just, yeah, it's weird because I feel like, oh, I used to think, oh, I'm like, I just have a lot of anxiety, but it's really like, no, I think a lot of it is I have ADHD when going unmedicated for long periods of time or just like not managing it well leads to a lot of anxiety. And then like the same thing with the stomach. So that's, yeah.
Yeah. Well, when a physical reaction is sometimes reminds you of a thing. So, because I do get nervous. When I get nervous, it goes into my stomach too. And
Yeah.
before something mega, I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom because I just feel like, my stomach's a mess. And we know that we're familial thing. But that type of feeling remind you of being anxious, even when maybe it's just a physical thing that's happening. Like maybe I just
Yeah.
ate something weird and my stomach's and it's not really that I'm upset about it or worried about it. But I can recognize the difference in the two for sure. I know when it's
hmm
that versus that. But yours might be overlapping a lot. So you don't know
hmm
the difference really. I don't know. How did you push through today? Was there anything or you just kept going and then it passed? Or are you still
You mean
feeling it?
today or yesterday?
Today. Today when you woke up and you were
Oh, well, like, yeah, once I'm up, I don't know, I've felt better. I also think part of it, of the
Hmm.
anxiety last night was I did a lot of scrolling on
Oh,
TikTok before bed. And I feel like usually that sometimes makes me anxious, like trying to go to sleep.
wow.
So I'm just like scrolling and then my mind is like scrolling through thoughts essentially. And I'm,
Oh, wow.
yeah. I mean, I
Oh,
feel better this morning. I feel like I need to journal. I was just kind of like sat. If I wake up early, I don't try and like necessarily push myself to be like, oh, I woke up at 6, so I might as well start working at 7. I'm like,
no,
no,
you'd
like
rather
still be
just
in like
use
a
the time.
rest state and just like
Yeah, that's a good idea.
chill. So I don't know, I feel better. I think I'm just over now I'm just in a state of like overthinking the yesterday thing and trying not to get like caught up in it because I feel like one of the biggest things with stand-up comedy is it's very like up and down.
Yeah, it's going to
Like
be
you have a
that
good
way.
show and then you have a bad show and you have a good show and you have a bad show. You feel really confident and then you feel like you're the least funny person on the planet. So it's just kind of hard. It's it's really like slinging the emotions
Mm.
left and right and trying to stay like level. Like
Oh my
and
God. Yeah, so that sure doesn't help because you
no.
do, because that's what you're choosing because you love it, right?
Yeah,
If
and
you
then
love
I
it, you have
guess
to pursue it.
another part of it is that a lot of what I'm learning is that a lot of comedy is like networking and building relationships and like being social. And like, not that I don't like doing that, that's just an extra
Mhm.
level of energy I need to put in to be like extroverted.
Yes, and that's
And it
not your
drains
gut.
me.
That drains
And
you.
like last night, I was at the thing, I was like, I should network, I should talk to people, I should like meet people. And I just like couldn't get myself to do it until like
Mm.
the very end, until I had like called the
Oh,
Uber and then I like started talking to people and I was like,
oh my
ah,
gosh.
but I was like, whatever, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's just frustrating. It's frustrating to feel like, oh, I know I should be doing these things, but I do not have the energy or the willpower to like,
Oh my gosh. That's rough.
yeah.
I had an observation that happened when I met with Dad. He was at a dinner, was that a colleague dinner, and I stopped by and I sat down and I said, he was said, "Oh, stop by and say hi to Scott." And I said, "Okay, but I'm tired and I didn't want to," because I was coming from some work thing and I was knew I was tired. And when I got there, I even said it. I said, "I'm so exhausted. I'm just going to stay for a minute. I just wanted to say hello." And then within 10 minutes, I was like alive and
Mm.
energized from starting to talk to them. And then he made this observation about me, which was not something I realized that was happening. But I ended up staying there for like an hour and hanging out with them. And he said, huh, he's like nodding his head. So you are an extrovert by nature. You actually, and I said, well, yeah, you know that already. And he goes, no, but you came here and you were tired, and now you grabbed the energy from the situation and you're back alive.
Mm.
And I never ever noticed that about myself until that moment. And that's I think a definition of it. No, I didn't notice because I never because I'm always in a upbeat mood, but I've never realized that I could be in a tired mood and then move into a situation and then get the energy from the situation. I guess I've always done it.
That's
I
like
just
the
didn't,
definition of an extrovert. You get
I didn't
energy by being
acknowledge
around
it.
other people, where
Okay.
an introvert, you get drained by being around other people.
Okay. Well, he sealed it for me then. It's official. That was pretty funny. But I can understand the opposite when that happens. If you're being drained and then you have to be on to perform and then you have to be on to be social. That's like double it
And
that's
it was also a thing where I wasn't expecting it. Like I got the email at noon.
right.
It just
And you
threw
had
my
to,
whole day off. And I was like,
oh.
I was really like grateful for the opportunity, but at the same time, I was like, I don't feel prepared. I just
Mm,
wasn't having like the best day before I got the email. And then like I had a whole plan for my day. And I hate when a plan gets ruined. And then I was like freaking out about having enough time to do everything. And then
mm.
yeah, it just spiraled. Yesterday just was like wasn't my best day. And it's fine because it's like gonna happen. And I still went up and I got on stage and I did the thing. And even though I wasn't feeling it. So
Yeah. How did it go? I mean, in your mind, you said,
mm,
yeah. Oh, really? It was like a meh.
here is I've
What's your,
synthesized. Here's
oh,
my debrief of the situation.
okay.
One, I'll start with what I could have done better.
Oh, okay. Ooh, we're gonna analyze. Go for it.
One, I didn't feel like I prepared enough mentally in terms of, and even Steven said it before. He's like, you gotta feel confident going in, or else you're not gonna like portray confidence. and I just wasn't feeling, I tried, I did like little meditating, I tried, but it just like wasn't there yesterday. Like the
Okay.
confidence, like I couldn't get there. And so that like affected my set in a way that I thought I had it memorized, but like a few people before me, I was like freaking out that I didn't have it memorized. And that hasn't
Oh.
happened in a long time. So that was weird. And then the second that so there were things on my end mentally that I could have done better, I think. And on stage, I didn't try that hard to win the audience over because I just felt
Hmm.
really intimidated by the situation, which I need to get better at. Like I need to like it was major imposter syndrome vibes of feeling
Hmm.
like I didn't deserve to
That's
be
gonna
here.
happen, I
Someone, yeah,
think.
and it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
And then on the other side, not that I'm not gonna blame the audience. I'm don't want to blame the person running it, but they prefaced so this thing that I got invited to was an open mic for the first 15 comics, and then after that, it's like the comedians that work at the comedy store, like the door guys, the doors,
Okay.
they're comedians in development. So before the first 15 open mic people go up, the host was like, "This is our open mic. You'd either see someone who's really good or you'll see someone who's really bad. Just keep an open mind." Like that's what they said to the
Oh
audience.
gosh.
And in between every comic, she was kind of saying that same thing. Like, this is an open mic. And it was
Oh
almost
my
like
God. She's like
devaluing.
yeah, she's preparing the audience not to like the comics.
Exactly. She's like telling them not to like laugh, essentially. It's like these aren't real
Oh,
comedians. So it was like that much harder to get the audience to like you because
yes.
they had
They were
this
prepared not
perception
to.
that it wasn't going to be good.
Oh, that's messed up. All right,
And
that's messed up.
I get wanting to explain the premise of the show to people and be like, it's an open mic for the first
But
15 comics. And it's
it could
like,
have been an
it could
open
have been
mic,
like,
like here's some up and coming new people that you are going to need to watch. That's the vibe that
yeah,
it
she
should
did say
be.
that. But then she was also like, could be bad, could be great. And I was like,
Oh,
well, don't say that. And I think that
no.
also just got me in a bad headspace because I was just like, what
Hmm.
the fuck?
Yeah, really. I don't like that.
It's like I did another show where it was like a random lineup, like you picked a number out of the hat where you're gonna go. And it just so happened that like all the female comics got stacked in the middle of the lineup, like 2 through 6 or whatever. And every time a female comic went up, the host would be like, all right, continuing with the feminine energy. All right, continuing with another like female, like we got the women. And I was like,
Why are they calling that
if
out?
it was an all male lineup, they would be like, oh, continuing with the testosterone. Oh,
All
continuing with
right.
like the BDE, like nothing would be called out. So it's
No,
like,
nothing would be called
and it's
out.
the same thing. Now I'm worked up. Same thing
Let's go.
with the TikTok I posted about how when I had to make a new Netflix account because I finally got kicked off of yours because we're not in the same household, whatever. So I made a new Netflix and we wanted to watch stand up. So we searched in Netflix stand up comedy. And of the 40 titles that show up when you search stand up comedy, only one
Ugh,
female comedian shows
that
up.
was crazy. I saw that video that you posted. Right.
It's like I posted a follow up because people were like, I thought Eliza Schlesinger was on Netflix. It's like, that's not the point. The point is that if you
When you
searched greatest,
search,
when you
yeah.
search, like if you searched greatest, and I tested this out, when you search greatest athlete of all time into Google, only male results.
Right. So,
Only like Michael Jordan, like Tom Brady, like no like Serena
mhm,
Williams,
mhm.
none of that. It's
And then
just
you
like
got
a
that
data
one
gap issue.
that is a very weird. I don't even understand how that could be.
There's a there's a book about this that I started to read and I want to finish it now. It's called like Invisible Women. It's about how like women are excluded from data.
Oh my
It's really interesting.
gosh.
Highly recommend it. Put it in the
Okay.
show notes.
I'm gonna put it in the show notes. I'm gonna write it down right now before I forget.
Now I'm on a rant. I'm heated.
But what happened when you posted that video?
Oh, I got
Was
so many mean comments that like maybe it's because women aren't funny.
ugh.
Be funnier.
Did you respond
I've
to any?
oh, one of them was like a female comedian has actually never made me laugh hysterically before.
Really? That's
Yeah, people are
angry
awful.
men
I
energy
know.
right there.
Oh my God, it's
Oh
so
my gosh,
bad.
I don't get it.
Should we
But
take one more tangent?
I have to go ahead, take a tangent.
No, no,
I
you
wanted
go,
to
you
know,
go.
no, I wanted to ask you if you are going to respond to any of those comments. I only saw the one negative one because I haven't been back to the video to see if there were more. So hearing that there's more, you're going to make me go look now and see.
Well, Stephen helped me come up with a response to one that was like do you have a Netflix special?
Ugh,
Which was a good one. And I think they deleted their comment. And then someone else said something, but I can't. Let me look.
I don't know
Ugh,
that.
it was just bad. It's because women aren't funny. Be funnier. Uh,
It's not you were trying to say. It was just the point that the data was missing from the
yeah,
search. That's
yeah.
what didn't make sense.
Oh, oh, oh,
How
oh.
they, I want to know
Okay,
what
so
this data is based on. Go ahead.
the one where someone said, be funnier. Stephen Humler responded, I said, do you have a Netflix special?
Okay.
They responded back, collectively as men, we have what appears to be dozens. How many you got?
Oh my God. Collectively as men, what is he
Very,
representing?
very few women comedians make me laugh hysterically. Fewer women pursue stand-up comedy. It's pretty simple. Lie, lie.
No, yeah,
Women
that,
pursue stand-up comedy. They just aren't. A lot of men have a preconceived notion we aren't funny. And when you're never going to make them, you're never going to be able to make those kinds of people laugh, no matter how
right,
hard you try.
right,
That's why I've been really enjoying recently, which has like rejuvenated my comedy journey, is finding female spaces in LA to do comedy where
right.
it's female and non-binary only. It's a world of a difference.
Wow. Because the one that you went to that was female was already supportive. So I think maybe you need to pursue this thing of putting together the shows now.
I know,
You need to
I do.
produce and perform.
My problem with
You have the
producing
skills.
is that like if I produced a show, it would need to be a bringer, and I don't want to like subject comedians to the things that I also hate, which is doing
Having to,
shows contingent on bringing people because I'm not at the level of like being able to be a producer or get big names on where I could fill a room
so what about
solely
the
with people
idea?
I know.
Let's go back to this other idea that I'm really kind of going to grab onto. But what if there was another uh, reason for the show, and then the comedians were a part of it somehow? So it was you're attending this thing, and then there happens to be a comedy piece. Well, I started to think about this when I was in the conference that I just spoke at, and it was all women, really amazing audience. And I was thinking, the next time I do this show, I want you to come and do a set about comedy on about social media comedy. Just your
Hmm.
bit being about the comedy bits that you perform at the thing would be social. So that way it would be there's a reason for them to be there already. Nobody has to bring anybody, but you
Hmm.
can then collect new fans, a new fan base of people that are watching you perform. And I'm not saying it has to be at a conference. That was just an example. But if it
Yeah.
was a different event and then there was a comedy piece to the event so that these people were already together for another reason, so that it doesn't
Hmm.
involve the bringer thing. I want to percolate on this. I think there's something here. I just don't know exactly what the event would be. It has to be a nice collaboration. It has to be a good crossover. It has to be a win for both
Yeah.
parties. And maybe it's something where it's a serious event and it needs some lightness. So it's a win for the both sides because you're going to get a bunch of people and then they are ready for some lightness because maybe the subject matter was too serious. I'm going to think about it. I think there's something there. I don't know.
Hmm.
I feel that there has to be another way outside of you having to convince friends and family to come to something every single time you perform. So that's draining in itself.
I had so
Well,
much
you also have to
anxiety
perform
about
new
it.
sets. You have to
Yeah,
perform new things because then you have the same people coming.
I know.
Ah, that's stressful.
I got on a show and then I backed out fairly quickly after doing it because I needed 8 people minimum. The tickets were between 20 and $30. And then it was a 30 item like tab minimum, I think per person. So people
Mhm.
had to spend a minimum of like $60 to see me perform 5 minutes. And I was like,
Mm,
this
that's a
is
lot.
absurd.
That's an
Because at least
ask.
at like other places, it's just a 2 item minimum. So you can just get 2 bottles of water. And it's like, okay, it's annoying. But
Right.
some places they don't even like really care. They just say that so people
Mm,
order drinks to start. Oh, it's just
annoying.
frustrating.
It is frustrating. It is frustrating, but it's the process and you're going to find your way. Did you just think about if you want to do another class to make more contacts to build your network? Because you did meet those your new comedy colleagues, I'm going
Yeah.
to call them, the CCs. And so you
Yeah,
can
I
build a
have
bigger
thought about
network.
it. I just don't want to like waste my time. Not like waste
Hmm.
my time in a
Hmm.
bad way. The first class I did was great. The second class was like if I didn't meet the people that I met, it would have been a waste of time
Right.
and it would have not have been worth it. So I just don't want to sign up for another class and feel that way.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it could be a good
Okay.
opportunity. And it would just
Maybe.
be like, I don't know, to have like, the hours dedicated every week to like doing comedy
Yeah. So you're
without
focused on,
having to like do it myself, if that makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. What was the tangent you were
Anyway,
going to go on before?
I don't
Do
remember.
you remember? Okay, so I'll tangent for a second because I think, and then you'll remember yours. But I just want to kind of put out there that even though it seems like you have anxiety and maybe I don't, I feel like I need to put out there that I have a lot of anxiety about things. And I have worked my way around by coping how to get through these anxious things and how I push myself past when I'm feeling a certain thing. And it still happens no matter what successes that you have. It's part of your DNA, so it's going to be there.
Hmm.
So unfortunately, you could solve it in the short terms and you can find your workarounds and coping things to push through. It's not going to go away because we're wired the way we're wired. So my
Hmm.
first great anxiety, which I've now solved about going to school, sometimes I have that when it's a shoot and it's a new creative or a new client and I haven't done it before and I start to feel my imposter syndrome. I don't know. What if I don't know how to make direct great shots or whatever the doubts are that I have. A lot of times the night before a shoot, panic and I have to talk myself in off the ledge on that type of occasion. I don't really have it so much when I'm speaking about social media, maybe because it's such a confident space for me now that I don't have it
Hmm.
there as much. But I'm not even going to say that. I'm going to backtrack because sometimes I'll post a video and I have that moment of, oh, I guess I shouldn't have posted that one when it's not in my usual wheelhouse or posting on LinkedIn out of my comfort zone. And I'm trying so hard not to second guess what I'm doing there. I'm just doing it
Hmm.
because that's just push through, keep going and ignore and don't mind that maybe people aren't engaging with it and I'm just used to having engagement, whatever it is. And that's what my coping mechanism for those things is try and think of another way to solve it. Maybe I should change the way I'm doing this creatively. So I challenge
Hmm.
myself. So I try and do that. But I have those times where at night I'm laying awake about things and I'm thinking, why am I laying awake? Why is my head spinning? Why am I worried about this? This is going to be fine tomorrow. I have it all the
Yeah.
time. And one of the things I've done, and this happened, and I used this skill really, really came in handy when I had cancer, was always thinking about in a week from now, I'm not going to have the same feeling, or in a week from now, this is
Hmm.
going to be behind me. And I know it sounds so basic and silly, but it works so well for me. I will be panicking about something. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, next Tuesday or whatever the day is, a week from now, I'm not even gonna, this is going to be behind me. Have it all solved already. And I just go like that. And it's like I talk to myself, have
Hmm.
my little inner dialogue. And it's so hard because I didn't have any help with this growing up. When I was anxious as a teenager, when I was so nervous before a test and I was put so much pressure on myself that everything had to be, A had to be A plus, everything had to be right. I just put so much pressure. I can't ignore that part of my life. It's still in me. It's just that time helps you learn certain skills to get around it. And so it's
Hmm.
just constant exploration to find something that helps you through it is the solution. That's why I was saying maybe try, if you don't try something you don't know. So maybe trying to get up and record some audio. What are my thoughts today? Why am I thinking in this tailspin? And just record them. I'm going to try it. I'm going to get back to you on this one.
Hmm.
The next time I'm in a
I've
tailspin.
I've done it where I just like write down
Yeah, you're
and
good
because
at
I'm a,
writing
I'm
things
a
down.
writer.
You're a writer. Well, you can write them down.
I
I'm
was
going to
listening
record them.
I was listening to a comedy podcast, but one of the comedians, Nimish Patel, talked about how like he had some sort of like cancer. I don't know. He had some sort
Mhm.
of cancer, but basically what he did was like every morning he woke up, he would journal what happened the previous day because it was like a way for him to like document the things that were happening, but it's also like a good exercise for your memory.
Mm.
Like more just for
Oh.
memory and not like really for like, oh, I'm journaling my feelings. It's not like necessarily like a feelings journal. It's more like a
Oh.
remember what happened yesterday and write it down to like help improve your memory. So I've been doing that. And it was
Wow.
interesting because I from like Friday to like Monday of this week, forgot to do it because it was like the weekend. And it was so hard to think of like
Ooh,
on
what did you
Monday what I did
do?
Friday. Like I remembered the big things, but I didn't remember
Oh,
because like when I do it the day after, I'm like, oh, I woke up and I had like I just do bullet points. And then I do insert like feelings if I'm like having like thoughts.
oh, that's a
But
good
like,
one.
hmm
My whole social media feed is my memory book because I
doesn't
post
really
something
count
every
because,
day.
well, it's not like that's not the
No, it's
point.
not the same, but
You have to like write it down.
funny.
It's like writing down like the mundane things that happen or even like the little things. Because then he was like, oh, after this whole cancer thing, huh, uh, he was like, I was able to go back and like read through my journal. And even though it was just like not comedic thoughts, it's like, oh, that was a funny, like that could
Oh,
be funny kind of thing.
oh
But it's
gosh.
also more of like a memory exercise. So I like doing it for
I
that
like the
because,
memory exercise. I like that.
yeah.
I have to, I don't know. There's so many things to fit into a day. I'm trying to decide, should I attempt that one? Because I
I mean,
put so much.
I try and journal. Like I really want to get into the habit of journaling before I start working in the morning or before I like open my laptop is like the rule that I want to do. Sometimes I don't. But like I've made a playlist so that I can like put on a nice like morning playlist
No,
and
good
like
one.
write down. Even if it's just like 5 minutes. I don't try and like stress myself out with like it has to be like pages and pages. It's just like, yeah, get out the thoughts. That's
So, okay, I like
helpful.
that. In terms of the sleeping thing, I think finding something that makes you sleepy that you do in regular
Usually I
life
read before bed,
and that makes you sleepy.
but I've been on this quest to
Mhm.
post multiple TikToks a day.
Yeah.
And then if I don't hit my number at night, I'm stressed.
Oh
So I
my.
scroll for ideas for the next day. And I think that's kind of what
Okay.
got me in a weird tailspin last night. It was like, oh,
Oh,
I need
well,
to.
if this is causing you stress, then maybe it's not the best strategy for your social
No.
media.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I am in 200 view jail.
You have to get out.
It's annoying,
Yeah.
but we're getting through it. Like I've had two videos go over 500
Mm.
and I've posted like at least 15 videos in the past
Wow.
like
Wow.
week and a
That's
half.
nuts. That's nuts.
So
Okay,
awesome.
I want to like mention I want to mention this thing that I said to Grace that I said I was going to make a post about so I can tell you what it
Hmm.
is. Somewhat relevant a little bit
Okay.
here. So what I said to her was even though I know that I'm posting clips, highlights of my Socialize podcast on the LinkedIn, and sometimes I'm putting them on Instagram, Facebook, and I'm trying to do it consistently. I'm trying to find a little some of the sweet sauce that you curate and I record every week. And I'm trying to put them out there on all the channels. And it's frustrating because on none of the channels do those clips do well. Those highlight videos do not do well. They don't do well on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. They
Feel
just
like I
don't.
get a lot of comments.
Not the kind of traction that I get on any other type of video. So, but here is where the insight comes in, and you're going to love this because two parts. One, even though it's a few amount of people that do it, it adds to people who may listen. So even if it's 200, 300, 400, even if that video doesn't get more than 1,000 views, think about 1,000 people, maybe do a percentage, even if 1% of or 2%. So I've got two more listeners on each platform. So let's say do that kind of percentage. But here's where the better insight comes in. When I have another tutorial that does well or a viral video that does well, I'm getting excited. That is when the person who finds me, oh, viral video, learn something. Let me see what else she has on her TikTok page. Let me see what else she has on her Instagram page.
Hmm.
Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. They're going to come across the podcast. Oh, she has a podcast too. So even if that person didn't listen or engage or even bother to stop on that video, they have discovered that I have a podcast for,
Hmm.
I'm going to say
That's
I, but
the,
it means we because we have a
yeah.
podcast. It's just that I'm recording it and you're curating the back end of it. Do you see the insight there?
Yeah. I feel like I agree.
Don't you think it's? I just think it's an insight that
Yeah.
even though you're putting out something, so you could think the same thing. Like one of these videos is going to hit, and then people are going to scroll the rest of your videos, and they're going to see what else you do. They're going to see that you have comedy. So you just have to keep going, and then one of them gets the more views, and then those few people that find you, they're going to scroll and see the rest of your videos. So that's the
That's what
mindset I'm going to have.
I know. I'm doing it. I'm just putting
I
it
know you're
out
doing
there.
it. I know you're
It's
doing
just,
it.
I just, and I know it's not me because sometimes I'll go to like other creators' pages that have a similar following or even a bigger following, and they also only have like 500 views on videos. So I know it's not just a me issue. I'm just sick of two things. One, when social media gurus on the platform are like, here's how to get a 200 view channel. And
Ugh.
it's just like, you need to post the stories and you need to change your personality
Oh,
and you need to like
like
story tell.
they're all
And
nuts.
it's just like, the only reason you're getting views on this is because you're promising to somebody that you have the keys to do it. But do you actually?
No,
And the
they
second thing
don't.
I've been hating on TikTok is that creators who have I used to follow a few influencers who, as soon as TikTok Shop kind of started blowing up
Mm.
their page, every video of theirs is a TikTok Shop video. And now they have so many followers. They're like, here's how I grew to 200,000 followers. And it's like, you grew to that because you used TikTok Shop, and TikTok Shop videos are being pushed out. So that's how you got more views and more
Oh
followers.
God.
I
They're
was
all
like,
using their here's how to do this magic to get followers, and they don't really know the magic at
because
all.
they just use TikTok Shop, and
They
that's their whole thing. It's like
or they
reviewing
use
products.
their fake ideas on this is how I grew I love the ones that go, this is how I grew from this to this in 2 weeks. You know, when they do the numbers and they go click, click. Really? No one's able to fact check that 2 weeks ago they had that many followers. No, it's
Hmm.
not fact checkable. So of course they can say whatever they want. I could say I grew to 980,000 followers in 3 months. Who's gonna only my a lot of followers are gonna call me out on that one, but a lot of new people wouldn't even know.
Hmm.
It's crazy. It's so wrong. We got off the topic of anxiety, but that's okay.
I
Today
mean,
was
this gives us
this
anxiety.
gives us anxiety. So anyway, I don't think I'm happy to say that social media doesn't give me anxiety. It's I put the pressure on myself to show up to build this other business. And that's where I'm
Hmm.
feeling like the anxious pressure because just feel don't want to I want it to be I have a vision of what I want it to be and a lot of times it's my basic instinct from when I was a child and I wanted to learn how to sew. And the first day I was taught by my mom how to sew, I wanted to make an entire dress for my doll because I didn't want to just learn how to do a hem first. So that's just part of who I am. I don't always, I want to go from zero to a million. Like I want to go to zero. I just want to
Yeah.
go. I don't, a lot of times I don't have patience, but at the same time, I'm relentless. So I know that my relentlessness is, does include patience because when it doesn't
Hmm.
happen right away, I just keep going. I don't say, well, that's it. It didn't work. So I'm going to move on.
Yeah. It's kind of
Anyway,
what I'm realizing for comedy is that it's not going to be
yes,
an overnight thing. It's that
it's
everyone
not.
who's made it in comedy has been doing it for like 5 to 10 years. So it's a
Yeah,
journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And that's why I'm trying when I have like bad shows or have like anxiety about it. It's just like, well,
it's part of it.
it's
It's
part
part
of
of
it.
it. Part of it. I'm glad that you're able to see. There's a lot of people posting about how long they spent doing something that they're successful at now. And then you get to see, wow, that person was at it for 10 years. That's a long time.
Hmm.
Musicians performing, doing their thing for 10 years on the hope and, and 15 years, 20 years. There's plenty of that. So
Hmm.
there's more of that than there are the overnight successes. We're just only,
Hmm.
unfortunately, seeing the overnight successes. So that's the problem with what we're seeing on social media.
Yeah.
We see people that are going from boom to boom and
Yeah,
magic.
like I saw a video this morning. I was gonna stitch it and be like, WTF,
Oh,
because it was like the People's Choice Awards, and some girl was like celebrity spotting at the People's Choice Awards, and it was just big TikTok influencers, and everyone in the comments were like, "Where are the celebrities?" Because
that's funny.
just because they're TikTok famous doesn't mean they're on the same level as like Margot Robbie,
Like a celebrity, yeah,
like a
a movie celeb.
celeb.
Yes.
Like
Although
you're in it. I know it's changing,
well, no, it
but
is
it's also,
changing, but it's not that
yeah,
I
maybe that
agree
could be a
with
whole
you.
episode.
That could be a whole episode. Oh my gosh. All right. Well,
Like,
this was fun. I don't know.
yeah. Okay.
Do you have any other tangents you want to travel down before
I
we
was gonna say
exit?
I wouldn't necessarily just because you have a million followers say you're like a celebrity,
I'm not a
but I would
celebrity.
say you're TikTok famous
I,
or you're a
you're
TikTok celebrity
100% right.
or a social media celebrity, but you're not
Yes. Yes.
celebrity until we get a
No.
reality TV show. That's not how.
When I get, yes, even if I had a segment on the Today Show, I wouldn't be a celebrity. That's not, I don't know. I guess we can, that's a really good subject potentially. What
Hmm.
constitutes a celebrity nowadays? Because people will joke with me like, "You are famous." No, I'm not. I'm not famous. I mean, that's just silly, but it's also a fun adventure.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it. All right, well, this was fun.
Alrighty.
I hope you feel better today, and I hope by next week you're on like a high note and something
Yeah, well,
major has changed or whatever, even if it's minor. One
even if
week
it's
to
just
week.
getting like 600 views on TikTok.
I think you're going to do it this week. I think you're going to do it this week.
Oh my God.
I'm going to make it my personal mission. I'm going to take one of your videos and send it to all my followers' inboxes. How funny would that be? People do that
Hilarious.
to me, though. They send me their videos. Please don't send me your videos on my inbox. My goodness. Oh my God. Anyway, there's a new feature on TikTok where you can have an icon for your inbox on your screen now. So
Mm,
just like you have a Facebook chat icon, that
yeah.
chat bubble, you can now have the TikTok DMs. Do we need this? I don't think so. But anyway,
No.
there you have it. My little TikTok tidbit tagged on to the end of this one. All right. Well, this was fun, Julie. I'm wishing you a happy day. I say go for a power walk. Put
It's
yourself in.
pouring.
Oh, it is. It's beautiful here.
I think also that would have helped
That
yesterday that it was
contributes.
raining because like I think that's also has a really we didn't even get into it, but like not being
Oh,
able to like go for a walk really impacts. Because when I do have those
true.
anxious days or like before a show,
You can get
we've
out.
gone for walks, we
You're
go
in
for
Sunnyland.
hikes.
Well, now because you're in a sunny place, when it's cloudy days, it can affect your well-being. I'm used
Yeah.
to cloudy days and sunny days just so often that
Hmm.
when it's a cloudy day, I'm like, oh, yay, good day to stay in and get things done. I don't even think of it as a negative thing. I just think of it as, ooh, excuse to not go anywhere. Let's stay in
Yeah.
and clean a closet. Oh my gosh, you're fun.
Maybe I'll do that today. That always
Yes,
helps.
clean a closet. That's always good for feeling accomplished.
I'm feeling in control of my
The
life.
closet purge, my favorite. Ooh, maybe I'll go clean a drawer now.
I do.
Gonna grab a
Yeah. Anyway.
gonna grab a grandma trait and run off and go clean something to make myself feel accomplished. I used to feel in order to feel accomplished, I would bake something in the morning. If I was overwhelmed when we lived in the suburbs and I was overwhelmed by work or something, a task I had to do, I literally would bake something and then I'd feel more in control of the day. So how
I don't
crazy is
remember
that?
you baking
Especially at the
things, but
holiday.
okay.
No, at the holidays when it was really
Oh.
overwhelming during the holidays
Well,
and
now,
oh
yeah.
my gosh, the presents, the shopping. Let me just bake some cookies. I'm going to feel so much better. And I would
Yeah.
get the Christmas cookies done or something. I guess it's the same thing as just accomplishing a task.
Baking is okay. We'll end on that. Baking is really good for my anxiety because
Good.
it really focuses. Well, and it makes sense that you would do that because you have to focus on individual steps and like it's not like cooking where you can kind of like improv. I mean, you improv it, but
I do
um,
improv it, but
essentially like
no, you do have to
baking,
follow a recipe.
you
I
have to
mean,
follow a recipe and do a specific set of tasks where your brain has to focus on the tasks.
true, true. That's a good one
Anyway,
for anxiety. All right, let's go bake something.
I did bake banana bread last night, so that helped.
Oh, that's nice. I haven't baked anything in a while, so maybe today's the day. But I've been baking the Skinny Taste muffin in a cup thing. I
Mm.
loved her little recipe there because I don't feel like it's a big commitment. It is very accomplishable and it feels like I baked something. It feels like a task accomplished. All right, we're off to bake, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to our anxiousness and helping us overcome. Woo! Yours truly.
Ellen and Julie.
Okay, if you liked listening to our rant about anxiousness and can be male comedy and all the things that went with it, leave us a review, leave us a note, send us a message, whatever. We love being here and we love having our personal chat and including you in it. So thank you for listening. And if you want to know where to find us, I think you know, but it's in the show notes at The Mothership and at Julie Polisi. And we are together on hellosocialize.com where you can find all the things and subscribe to our newsletter because it's the best. We just got a note about how good our newsletter is this morning. Somebody responded. Did you see it in the email? I love it. All right. See you soon, Jewel.